Welcome back to another episode of Light the Fuse with myself, Drew Taylor, and Charles Hood.
Hello.
And what do we think about Kevin's music?
Kevin Blumenfeld wrote us a beautiful theme.
Yeah?
And again, you can check out his work on his website, which I want to say is kevinblumenfeld.com.
Yeah.
And he also has a couple albums on Spotify and on iTunes. It's his scores for a show that we did together. Ben Epstein created the show called In the Vault. And then he also, for the movie that I directed and co-wrote called Night Owls.
Also, there's a lot of contact information on his website, so if Paramount Legal needs to get in touch with him, you can get
and it is kevinblumenfeld.com. So Paramount, go ahead and check it out. Now, there are more samples of Kevin's work, too, if you like the theme, and we love what he did with it. It is legally different enough.
Yes. It is a legally dissimilar theme that we really love. And speaking of themes, today is all about the title sequences, right?
Yeah. So we can talk about each of the title sequences and the music that accompanies them.
Yeah.
I think the first one to talk about obviously would be the old show. Each episode, it was Lalo Schifrin's famous theme, and it's in 5/4 time, which is unique. Most pop music and stuff is in 4/4 times. 5/4 times sort of obviously set the standard. And each title sequence for every episode of the show would show clips from that episode.
Yeah.
So no title sequence was ever the same in all the old
Which is
episodes.
amazing to think about, because maybe you'll be able to change a title sequence once a year. Like, every time there's a new piece of the map on the Game of Thrones theme, it's a big deal. But it's like, this was changing every week, which blows my mind, and it's just so awesome. We haven't watched the 80s show yet, so we don't know.
Yeah, so we haven't really... I was actually going to look up to see, because I don't know. I want to say, did Lalo do it again?
I don't know.
I'd have to look that up, so I am embarrassed that I don't have that information.
That's okay. We're going to save that for our 80s episode.
Yeah, and so now I guess we should jump into the first movie.
Okay.
Danny Elfman did the music for the first movie, and
Kyle Cooper did
Kyle Cooper designed the titles.
Yeah.
And this sequence starts with the fuse. Like, the old show was sort of a profile shot of the hand lighting what was sort of like a cheap animation of a fuse.
Right.
And it was just sort of a straight line that went across the top of the frame as the shots went by.
It was very graphic.
So, yeah, and it was a hand, and it was supposedly Bruce Geller's hand.
Oh, really?
The creator of the TV show. It's his hand that came in and lit the fuse, and they just, they shot him lighting a match, and then they have this little animated fuse. Now, the first movie, De Palma gives you this head-on shot, really close of the match lighting, and it's two shots of the match. It's like a head-on, and then it goes to a
profile.
Yeah, it's kind of head-on on the fuse now.
Yeah.
And then it goes into, again, clips from the movie, just like the old show. And meanwhile, it's sort of following in profile a fuse. It cuts back and forth between clips and titles, Brian De Palma film, and also a glory shot of this fuse.
Lots of sparks. This might be the sparkiest title sequence.
And they also take some of the clips from the movie and they go into negative art with it for a brief second.
Yeah.
And
digital pixelated version too, like that.
Yeah, and some of the clips are really quick. And then at the end you kind of get the letters, the MISSION, and then it comes in and stamps impossible,
which is just like the show.
Yeah. And then the title sequence continues into the whole intro with John Voight on the plane.
Right. Great font choice.
Yeah.
I love that kind of like double exposed look of each letter.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's really great. It's just a great sequence.
And
somebody on Twitter said that it was only from the first
from the first mission. But it does show clips of crews dangling.
Yeah.
And
even stuff from the train.
From the train, right.
Yeah.
Really quick. We should talk about Kyle Cooper for a second. So he designed these titles.
Right.
He's done a lot of amazing work. He does American Horror Story.
7 was his big kind of like breakthrough sequence that everybody talked about, if you remember that.
He did Iron Man 3.
That's a great.
He did Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2. He did, let's see what else he did. Donnie Brasco.
Flubber.
He did, 7. 7 is a really famous title sequence.
Yeah, I just said that, Charles.
I'm sorry, I missed that. And Home Alone. The Home Alone title sequence is great too, with the little house and everything.
And he worked with De Palma previously on Bonfire of the Vanities.
Right, okay.
Which has a great title. I think he just did the title card, which is sort of the thing. and Mimic.
Right. Mimic
was him just ripping off his 7
for Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
So that's the first movie.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, I think we can rank them all at the end.
Yeah.
When we get to the end.
Yeah.
So the second movie did a little pivot. Obviously, we're coming off the exploding sunglasses.
Right.
This one was designed by Garson Yu. The music actually that leads into the sequence is Limp Bizkit.
Right.
It's the Limp Bizkit 4/4 version of the theme. And then as soon as the spark goes and everything, then it goes into Hans Zimmer.
What's interesting about this one is, one, they have the sort of Spartan soldiers and monsters and all that stuff, but there's a lot of emphasis on sort of a 3-dimensional mission. Like each letter, it refracts, and it's very weird. But a lot of sparks, it still cuts back to the fuse, but it's incredibly short compared to the first one.
It's really short. I mean, there's like not much to talk about.
No.
And they don't show clips from the movie.
Yeah.
It's so they really changed that aspect, which I think is kind of a bummer.
It actually looks like the same
spark.
The same fuse at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I wonder if they reused it.
Well, Garson Yu does work. He works with Kyle Cooper.
So Garson Yu, who designed this one.
He co-founded Imaginary Forces with Kyle Cooper.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So.
And Garson Yu's done some amazing work.
Yeah.
He has worked with Zack Snyder with 300 and Watchmen. Watchmen has a cool title sequence.
Oh, that's a great sequence. Yeah.
He did Ang Lee's Hulk. It looks like he did Twister with Kyle Cooper.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Enchanted has a great title sequence.
Yeah.
With the book opening and the whole storybook type thing. And
Leftovers, which is great.
I have not seen that yet. But
No,
I know you sing its praises.
Love it. Yeah.
Should we move on to 3?
3, yeah. Let's go. It's just incredible. Talk about incredibly short, but a lot of match time.
Oh, yeah. The lighting of the match. It's the most pornographic approach to the lighting of the match. It's really long.
Yeah.
And this time we've got Michael Giacchino doing the score.
Right.
And, it's just, like you said, it's really short. I mean, it's just the match and then some fuse. It's really all fuse. There are no clips from the movie.
It's just title, and the titles are very quick.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman into Ving Rhames.
And it's all fuse. It's just all crazy quick cuts of the fuse from all different angles.
Yeah.
And there's no clips from the movie, which again is, I think, a disappointment. I love the flashing forward and seeing glimpses of what we're going to see later. I don't know.
Also,
it excites me.
Eddie Marsan had as a credit before Lawrence Fishburne, and he does not speak in this movie, which is very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then it just very abruptly ends and goes into this
the
party.
House party,
yeah. And then the title sequence, the titles continue over that, and that's it. And it's there's not much to it. I mean, we could not find a credited designer for this. We just found the studio, which is Picture Mill. And they have done
Signs.
They did Signs is a great title sequence. Panic Room is an awesome.
Yeah.
The titles within kind of built into the city.
Of
New York. Which
I always love
really
good
cool.
sort of titles that take up physical space in the environment. It's always fun. Hollow Man, which I think is good, little microscopic sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
I kind of wish they went Signs, Panic Room, and Hollow Man. They're
so
so distinct, and I feel like they could have gone further with it.
Also, no Main on End, which we need to talk about the Main on End for 5.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, that's a really cool sequence.
Yeah. So I think would you have been happy if this was the title sequence, but there was a Main on End sequence that was a little longer and had a little bit more oomph?
I guess. I don't know. Again, it just feels very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like I love in the first movie where it hits hard and it's like it just grabs you and shows you all these little glimpses and it's just like the old show. I just love that stuff.
Yeah, this one was a letdown.
Should we move on to
where this podcast got its name? Yeah.
Ghost Protocol. The beginning of this movie, they break Tom Cruise out of prison, and then he says, as they're in those sewers, light the fuse.
Yeah, so this is the first fuse that's actually a
story
plot point.
Yeah, which is amazing that he somehow knows that's part of the plan to break him out. And he says, light the fuse, they do, and then it's a physical fuse that moves
into a CG.
And it's very Brad Bird, like it's amazing. Brad Bird, who directed this one, like it moves through a three-dimensional space through scenes that are later in the movie.
Right.
So it's not just cutting to quick clips. It's almost different looking.
I like the smoke too of the
subtitle,
because this is the first one with the subtitle.
Right. So it says Mission Impossible, and then it moves through and it shows Ghost Protocol in like a ghost-like
font
smoky,
that sort of
that disappears.
But this is Kyle Cooper returned to do this.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Kyle Cooper from the first movie, he
Yeah.
designed the titles for De Palma's, comes back for this one. And it seems like Brad Bird did that.
A lot of
he
times,
he brought back the editor, I think, from
Paul
the first
Hirsch,
movie,
yeah.
and so he was, I think, kind of honoring the first one.
Yeah.
which is great to me. Yeah, I think the first and fourth right now are my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. Fallout's around the corner though, so when we record this, Fallout will already be out.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah. So we'll get into our Fallout breakdown in another episode.
Right. I also love how he does things in reverse like that. That was a shot from the movie that he reversed. It's somebody opening up a briefcase, and in this one he's closing it and putting it back in. Like,
yeah,
just little things like that.
It's cool that the fuse is traveling sort of through the movie.
Yeah,
it's really cool. I mean, it's just such an amazing sequence.
Yeah, there's a little bit of this in the fifth main on end with the outlines of people
for the end credits.
Yes,
right.
But this one is the only one that's done it in the main, and this has every single credit in the movie too. It does not.
So this is the only one that's done that.
I think this is the only one that's done that. Yeah,
where the full sequence is the fuse.
Yeah.
Whereas most of them did half a sequence with the fuse and then finished off the titles in the first scene after.
Yeah, in fact, in 2, that's the end of the title because the only two credits in that sequence are produced by Tom Cruise and Paul Wagner and directed by John Woo.
Because all the credits were happening earlier when he was rock climbing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is super dorky.
I don't know if anyone's watching this, or listening to this,
but this is all very fascinating to us.
Yeah.
Let's get to Rogue Nation.
We're getting to it.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about Ghost Protocol?
Just that I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really unique approach, that taking the TV show idea and the first movie idea and going to the next level with it.
Right.
It's really cool.
So just to set up 5, it's Aaron Becker and Nathaniel Park did this sequence, and it is Joe Kramer doing the music.
Joe Kramer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
this one is, it starts off of Tom Cruise's hilarious look while he's strapped to the cargo that he's trying to get out of there, and it goes really quickly into a match. This is probably the shortest match.
Yeah. It's
kind of a fun cut into it, but I wish we got more out of the match.
And what an explosion too at the beginning! It's like a real fireball.
And then we have this one again. It's sort of more like the first movie, I think.
Okay.
Where it's just like clips from later in the movie, a little more straightforward.
It's really this one's so fast though. There's so many images in this one too.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff. I do love every time they put a credit up, they have the larger credit behind that.
Yeah,
which is
it's
cool.
like scrolling through real fast. It's really dynamic. And Joe Kramer, I think, did a great job with this theme. To me, I think we maybe don't quite see eye to eye on this matter, but I love Elfman's theme the most, the way he hits the title sequence.
Yeah, no, that's
and then
great.
I would probably, for title sequence, not the full score, but just title sequence theme.
Yeah,
I think Joe Kramer is my second favorite. He really just hits it harder than Giacchino did in 3 or 4.
And I really like the main logo too. Is very like Tom Clancy.
Esque.
It's like
with it's like an italic.
So this doesn't even have
serif.
the main on end either.
Later, no, the main on end is really cool because the main on end, it was a red fuse that outlined elements from the movie.
Yeah,
and it was sort of a little bit more reminiscent of the Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, it's really cool.
He had like best of both worlds. He did like the first movie. I mean, the old show type, more straightforward.
Right.
Which also we should say in Rogue Nation, I love that they brought back the dossier, the black folder with the gold embossed,
and
that says Impossible Missions Force, which is like
time
directly out of the old show. And so I think McQuarrie really did that with Rogue Nation. He really did nods to the old show. I feel like a good job with that. So the Rogue Nation again was Aaron Becker.
Yes.
And Aaron Becker also did the titles for Split, which were really cool.
Right.
And The Conjuring, I think, has a really cool title sequence.
Yeah, that's a great title sequence.
But I don't have much.
And Clear History, your favorite movie from HBO.
Oh, yeah. I like Clear History.
I know you do.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So do we know who's doing the Fallout?
I don't
either. So this is our future selves, and we are transmitting back in time to do a little bit more for the title sequence. First of all, we want to give a shout out to artofthetitle.com, who helped us a lot with rewatching these title sequences. And now we are going to talk about the Fallout sequence.
Yes.
So Charles, what did we think about this one?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting that there's a very short match at the beginning.
It's a pretty short title sequence in general.
You think so?
Well, compared to Ghost Protocol. Yes.
Yeah, Ghost Protocol is probably the longest one.
Yeah.
Because it goes through the whole title sequence, as we pointed out.
Yeah.
There's a really cool motif going through the whole thing, the flames.
Yeah, I loved that.
It's like everything's burning.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's great.
And there's no fuse.
No?
No, I mean, I saw it yesterday.
Oh, there's just a match.
It's just a match, and then it's just things are burning. So it's like the match didn't light a fuse, it lit a fire.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And a really cool version of the theme, we gotta say. I loved it. I don't know about what you thought. I thought it was awesome.
Yes. I mean, I think Lorne Balfe's score in general is like a kind of a new approach, and it totally works.
Yeah.
It's really great. And I've been rewatching all the movies in the week leading up to seeing Fallout for the first time, and I'm getting more of an appreciation for all the different approaches. Like, I know I love Elfman's, and obviously the original, Lalo Schifrin's original, is just phenomenal. But it's like each movie has its own kind of vibe, and so each movie should have its own sound, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just starting to love all the different approaches. Even though, like, you know, I was hard on Giacchino for his kind of, like, light approach in the 4, but it's cool. It's like it's right for that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it works, and I think this approach is sort of going with the kind of, it's a little darker, the music this time. It's a little bit more kind of dread-inducing, and I really like the way that he weaves the kind of sound of the title sequence over that kind of motif
Right.
that goes on throughout the rest of the movie.
And they give us clips of the movie, which is great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm glad that they're keeping up that tradition, and unfortunately, they don't do the black folder with the gold lettering like they did in Rogue Nation. I would have liked to have them bring that back again, but, you know, it's cool. It's awesome that Rogue Nation did it.
Yeah, I love my favorite use of the fire, too, is him running on top of the rooftop in London, and the fire is chasing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
It is like the fire's catching up with them. It's like it's thematically really on point with just Fallout.
For a movie about sort of, repercussions and, consequence, this title sequence is so good. And one of the things I love about Fallout is that everything about it kind of reinforces this thematic concern that McQuarrie clearly has going into this one. So, yeah, A+ title sequence, I say.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we ranked them already, but this would go up there right near the top, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Well, from our future selves to our past selves, goodbye.
Why don't you rank your title sequences?
I would say 4, 1, 5, 3, 2.
Okay.
What about you?
I would say 1, 4,
Ooh.
5, 3, 2.
Okay.
Close. But now, so how about music? Just the theme music for
music.
the title.
The first one,
that
I think,
changes
is
my
the best.
rankings.
Yeah.
So rank them music-wise.
Yeah, music-wise, I would probably do 1, 4, 5, 3, 2. I mean, 3 and 2, there's hardly any music
There's
in
not
there.
much. I know they don't do much.
Yeah.
I would say for me, music would be similar. It would be 1, 5, and then 3 is just so short. But 3, 4, they're both Giacchino.
Yeah.
And it's hard to.
Yeah.
And then
at least you get more of it with 4.
Just the whole like the heavy metal approach that Hans Zimmer takes with it was sort of to pair with Limp Bizkit.
Yes.
Is not
great.
Not my favorite.
No.
It's pretty dated.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are people who are fans. I mean, it's been fun to see on Twitter people talking about the whole series as the new one comes out. And there are all these people who are coming out and talking about how the second one is their favorite movie. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I think that's a testament to this franchise.
Yeah.
That rankings that people make are all so different.
Yeah. And we want to know what your rankings are for these sequences. So please tell us on Twitter or email or Instagram, and we'll read your articles and we'll read your rankings. And if you have anything else to say or any insight, or if you're like that guy who was totally wrong about the first movie, we still want to hear it. So please let us know.
He wasn't that wrong. It was close. It's got, you know, yeah.
But for Charles, I'm going to say thank you for choosing this mission.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about the Fallout title sequence at a later date. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcasts@gmail.com. If you'd like to watch the original Mission Impossible television show, all 7 seasons are currently available to stream on Amazon Prime. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.